How you doing, Mark?
We're back. I'm doing good now. I'm doing much better now. Now
You're
that
not
it's not my
alone.
face blown up on the whole screen.
Yeah. I thought this was the up to that point. Nothing was done deliberately, but when I said, "Oh my God, let's just put my mark here," and then I saw your big picture. That was the only part that I actually controlled the process. That's the only part.
Because you could have just not done that.
Yeah, no, it was a decision.
You chose to just do that just for
the first decision, the first editorial decision that I ever made.
That's fine with me. As long as actually, I would have disliked it if it were an accident.
Okay.
So thank you.
Yeah. No, it wasn't an accident. I'm not an amateur. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to show off some goodies.
Good. And we're in the Changelog. Showing off goodies by Mark. Thank you, man, for doing this once again.
Of course. I don't think I have a preamble for this either. So just several good changes. Nothing. I think I may have. I think I feel like I missed a couple, but like I always try to keep it down to size,
Yeah.
Although our show probably won't go as long as it usually does at the last few times, so I maybe could have made it a little longer this time. But okay. Hopefully, we're all happy with what we're seeing here. So, start with the first one. Big, huge. Everyone's happy. Love this one. The using brackets to access objects and arrays, like things that are indexed by something. Right now, we have only support for things that are indexed either by a string or by a number.
Yep.
So that includes arrays and maps and JSON and also strings, which you can get like the character at whatever index. Now it just works.
I'm pretty sure your second assert will turn out to be false.
I tested it in the playground.
I don't understand this. So how does that work? Because
I think you're talking about how
the JSON value is the value with the number of 1.
Yeah.
Sure?
A JSON string, I think is where this has mostly been run into. A JSON string and then just a regular string, the value is the same. Like the value they represent is the same, but one is a kind of more of like a promise that this is like I can serialize this. It's like a serializable object. We at a high level we add a different contract to it, but like the value of it is the same. Kind of like how a struct with certain data and the JSON with the same data are also equal. They can be equal, but like they can be represented differently, I guess. But they're the same. Like the bytes are the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know that I feel like that didn't help.
No, I feel like you're trying to convince me that the equality doesn't need to take into account the type. And the last time someone convinced me that, they added triple equality to the that's the last time someone did that.
I mean, I guess we'll explore it more because I know there's a lot of confusion around like as string, as num, and like that kind of casting.
Yeah.
So it'll be an ongoing discussion, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But we can just be happy about the new this new syntactic sugar.
Oh my God! What? This is great. This is great syntax. I mean, I've changed I went back to my code, just changed all the get at. I'm so glad we added this. This is just awesome.
Huge deal. So thank you, Chris, for getting on that and finally and adding that in and making everyone more happy in the world, I think.
Awesome.
Next, our lovely friend Gary implemented the cloud.schedule for Google Cloud for Terraform. Google Cloud.
Awesome.
Another piece of our compatibility story.
Nice.
Clouds. Always nice to see these to also learn about what resources Google Cloud has because I have no clue. They have a cloud scheduler to create like cron jobs. That's their name for their version of this thing. So I think so. Gary made use of that in his implementation. Run those, and it works with our whatever your schedule needs to do. You can give it like a duration or the you see that we're using one M here to say like every 1 minute. You can also give it like a cron string, isn't a cron expression string.
Interesting. I've checked the compatibility matrix. This is not updated. I'll check with Sue for why isn't it the process to update this.
I forget how often to update. I thought it was like, I remember seeing it's supposed to be like all the time, basically.
Yeah.
Like, constantly.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something up with it. But,
yeah, I'll check with Sue.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Thank you, Gary, for adding that. Much appreciated. So we had some spoilers for this one, but this the new secrets subcommand for the Wing CLI, which I think takes like a pretty big manual. I mean, it's still a manual operation to like say like, okay, I need to like create some secrets so I can use it for my application. But now it's much less tedious of a task. Like you know, and it's a controlled task. Like you can, as you saw before in the live coding, you can just like, what secrets do I need? I don't make me like figure it out. Don't make me remember. Like you can, the program has enough. Like your application has all the information. So just share it with me. Don't make me guess. So this is super nice to have as a more managed solution. Implemented for both the simulator and for TF-AWS for now.
Right. I love the fact that I didn't go through the details before, and I love being surprised by the elegance of the solution. You do this, gives you all the options. I love it. Love the DX here. Great work. Thanks, Hasan.
And I want to say that this is making use of like this. So this is like a platform. The behaviors are platform specific, which I think is a huge like kind of powerful interface we can have with that we're probably going to extend. Like what is a platform specific behavior for like this will eventually go into like deployments. Like what is the deploy part of a platform specify, and we can add other interactions like maybe there should be specific behaviors for tests.
Yeah.
Like add like another like hooks basically into the compilation and overall like Wing like tool chain solution. So this is one of our first like extensions of that for a while. Really happy about it.
Nice.
Thank you for that. And on to Suf with the addition of non-interpolated strings. I wanted to use the word raw string here, but I think we have an issue for maybe extending this to be even more raw than this.
What's more raw than this?
Quotes, allowing not having to escape quotes. So for this particular feature, if you added a number sign, a hashtag, whatever you want to call it, before your quote for your string, everything inside the string will assume that there's no interpolations. So if you use any braces that would normally cause the inside to be like an expression,
right?
Now you can just use it, and it won't be that way. You don't, and now you can just use the raw braces inside.
But if I want to use quote, I need to back.
You still need to escape it with
awesome.
backslash. I think it's still backslash in the strings. There's a proposal now for like maybe if we can add like the number sign to the very end. Also, like so it's like basically everything's inside the number sign, and then you can use quotes and braces.
Yeah.
But if you want to use a quote, like if you want to, we'll add something for that. But like, I'm considering like JSON strings or other things like that where you want to use quotes all over the place, right? Inside of your string, and we don't have like a single quote version of a string, which I think is good. I think it's nice to only have the one quote version. It's very nice to not have to worry about it. But we probably should have a way to handle those, like that case where you still want double quotes in there. But this is a huge start to that process for the braces at least. Thank you, Suf, for that.
Thank
Next
you,
up, we
Sue.
have a first contribution from Parth,
Hey.
who added, well, first moved a method that was on, like, you would have to do like JSON.has, and then you would pass it a JSON instance and then like a key,
Yeah.
and it would tell you if it was in there, but
Oh,
it kind of makes
interesting.
more sense as an instance method, like every other, like almost all the other methods that we have on JSON. So now you can do like the JSON object .has to see if it contains that key. And then, but that was more of like a, I guess, a refactor, although a breaking change. The delete is a new functionality that lets you, for specifically for the mutable JSON type, you can delete a key, a given key.
Nice. Very nice. It wasn't. Oh, it wasn't even possible. Okay, awesome, great.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not even sure if there was a workaround necessarily, like other than creating a new one, I guess. But maybe there was. I can't quite remember.
Kind of iterating over all the other keys besides it.
Yeah. Certainly, I don't. There was no good solution. I don't think.
Awesome.
So thank you, Parth, for that, and I think he also added was very diligent on like did a follow up to add additional tests, which is greatly appreciated.
Nice.
So not only like making it work, but also adding that extra verifications.
For doing something like that, basically he changed the TypeScript side, the SDK. I mean, the standard library for us, right? The only TypeScript. Yeah.
Yes. And added some. I think there was a wing test added as well. But yes.
But you don't need to do kind of compiler stuff for that.
Yeah, no Rust code needed. It was all in TypeScript, and it's not too much. Adding these are usually smaller. More of the problem is testing is one, but also the like design, because we don't want to just add everything. We want to be more selective.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Makes sense.
So, thank you, Parth, for that, and for joining us on the journey, the building wing.
Definitely. See if we have some.
Next up from Yoav, there's I would struggle to even have I come up with a terse title for like a shorter title for this, but hopefully it makes more sense in the example. When you have a function that takes a struct argument, and if the struct argument is the last argument, then you can use our struct expansion syntax, which I probably should have shown here, but it lets you do if for this struct it has a, when you're calling this, you could say a colon and then the value that you're passing. So it's almost like when you look at this, you're actually saying like, oh, it's actually like if you explode S, like if you spread out S over this, like it's actually the fields of it that you're passing in, not necessarily just the struct. When you view it this way, it actually makes sense that if the struct here is made up of only optional fields, shouldn't you just be able to not provide anything?
Right.
That kind of makes sense. So now this works. Now you can call it, even though there's no question mark here,
right,
and to say that it's optional, it is really optional. There's nothing. It doesn't need any information.
Right. Makes sense.
Previously, you would have to like just give it an empty object, which also it makes sense, but it's not necessary. It's like the compiler can handle that work for you, basically.
Right. So only if all the stuff are optionals, basically you're able to see the fact that that made that fix. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you, Yoav.
Thank you for that improvement to the language.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, Marcio coming in with more improvements to the cloud queue. So this adds to that abstraction the concept of a dead letter queue, like to automatically like configure that for you, which will and it's implemented for both the SIM target and TF8WS, where it will create an additional queue that can handle like when a message goes to the queue but it fails to process for whatever reason.
Right.
It'll be entered into a separate queue that'll then retry the work with some configuration. So
It will not retry the work. I think it will try the work. If the max delivery attempt is 2, it will retry the work for 2 times. I think, I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then it will send this to the DL queue. The DL queue is just it's a dead letter queue. It's a place where you have a lot of dead letters. So you can look at this. Oh, these all the message that were not able to be processed are stuck in. No one usually. I mean, it's not the same work. It's a different type of work. I mean, you can set consumers there as well, but it's different type of work.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Sorry, yeah, I think I worded that wrong there. So yeah, no, that's a better explanation of it. And I know that like AWS even has like specific functionality for like because this is such like a common pattern to have. So in the simulator, there's more of a custom implementation of this, but AWS it's configured using what is native to AWS like to handle this.
Right.
So it's done as efficiently as you could do. In AWS, and we'll get to other clouds, I'm sure, to add the same functionality.
Yeah, super convenient functionality.
Yep.
Super awesome. That was Marcio.
Awesome. That was Marcio. I think he even had another one that I probably should have included, but he's been doing some good stuff, so I really appreciate it.
Awesome stuff.
And last up, a new element, or I sometimes I want to call them resources, but they're technically not. I mean, they're resources, but you may not always see them that way. But a new class, part of the API for the UI, the Bring UI namespace, is a file browser. So this is basically the interface you would see if you made like a bucket, a new cloud bucket. You would see this interface to access the files in the bucket, but now this is more of like you can use this for anything, like anything you'd want like a directory browser for effectively. And you can implement like all the different like I guess CRUDL almost like an interface for this.
Yeah.
To, like add files and remove them, retrieve them, and list them. You can implement those with your own in-flight methods, following the pattern of the other kind of like UI features we have to display in the console.
Yeah, this is super powerful, pushing the UI elements into the code like this. Basically, this is Winglang code, the kind of in-flight and pre-flight, super easy. But it's so powerful because this actually means that if you have if now I have I want to implement a bucket for Drive. Now I can basically kind of do bring Google Drive bucket, and I can just implement. I can just add a new UI file browser, and I give it the in-flight functionality of how to basically list files, delete them, get them. Now I have that UI, the same kind of file browser UI, and that's super helpful, especially when we're working on an environment which is partially running locally, but some stuff are basically on my remote dev account. Like if I'm working locally with a remote S3 bucket, then you can just connect and see the same result. And super strong. You're going to see a lot of movement like this. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, definitely love every extension to the UI namespace. It's like a really interesting exploration of what's possible here.
Right.
Love it. And that's it.
That's it.
For the changelog.
Okay. Awesome. Mark, this was great. Do you mind if we talk about the question that Hamid asked? So Hamid is seeing both Rust and TypeScript. And is Winglang trying to pull best part of the language into an abstracted language? Is that I thought I should probably not say goodbye to you before I hear you answer this. So what do you think, Mark? Is this what you're trying to
do? Depends what abstracted language means. So I'm not sure about that, but in terms of like inspiration for syntax and tooling and experience, I would say yes. I would say, but not just those two. I would probably say some Swift as well. Although I would probably Rust, TypeScript, and Swift are probably the main
Right.
three I would compare
Right.
Wing to. But any further than that, abstracted language, I'm not sure I would go further. But definitely, yeah, syntax. I think a goal is that the language should feel familiar. We're not.
Yeah.
We don't want to. Our strangeness budget. And if you know what I mean, like we don't want to go too crazy because we already have in-flights and pre-flight.
Yeah.
Conceptually, like, so okay, now you have to like hold that in your head, and now it's like, also, do you want to do all this other crazy syntax and concepts? Like, no, you'd probably rather, let's build on top of what's already been done well. I think that's the goal.
Right. So kind of the strangeness budget is basically we're saying we need this function, this language to be familiar. We already have it being strange because of in-flight, pre-flight. There's the lifting mechanism. There's some quirks to this. There's the unseen scope and the ID that you don't see, but there is an ID. You should be aware of it. And but we are still kind of the developers here and the community. I mean, the people love Rust. I mean, the people that really like the not the simplicity of Rust, but the power of Rust, I think, and some of it was the simplicity. So it's somewhere in between the TypeScript and Rust in a way. So it's super interesting to see. We're also trying to figure this out, right? I mean, eventually, we don't know where the will land. It's
I mean, the extra boring answer to this is that we want it to be as good as possible, which means we were probably going to draw on from what the other things that we think, like the best parts of other things we see. So I mean, it's kind of like an inevitable thing, I guess, for it to work that way.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you, Mark, and thank you for the great question, Ahmed. So that's it. That was the Changelog and some live coding by Elad. And thank you both of you for doing this. This is great you guys are doing this. This is super fun for me to have this. And thank you for our viewers. And we'll end with a song, and I'll see you in 2 weeks from now. And so let's end with the song if I can find it. The people.